You see that? Yeah, what is that? Yo, that's a big boy. That's a big bitch. Nah, that's Big Beau polishing a sandwich. The fat pussy don't pass on the last cookie. He in the back of the class with stash tootsies. Who knew? Not me, but Beau knows. It's the only podcast that's bigger than Beau's hoes. Used to say yes to crack, but now it's a no-go. Eating pussy from the back with his nose in an asshole. He toss your salad like ranch on romaine. Punch lines cause he battled with cocaine. Pussy philanthropist, tele-evangelist. Beau knows the answer to curing cancer, kids. Yeah. So what you know about it? I mean, fuck what you heard, what you know about it. Cause it ain't what you do, it's how you go about it. But Beau knows, he did a whole show about it. Really? Yeah, I think he's got like a podcast or something like that. Oh, okay. Are you getting paid for this?
All right, welcome back to the Beau Knows podcast. This is our Patreon episode. Thank you to those who are purchasing this episode. We hope to bring you one, and we will bring you one every single week. We're going to do an hour of extra content. If you notice, the original episode, or the one that was free, that was out there, did not have video capabilities. And I know you guys are used to the video. You love the video. You need the video. But for right now, we're going to be going, as I think this is really an audio platform, podcasting in general. We're going to be mainly just doing audio. What I will be doing way more of, so look out for, is a lot more sketches. So that's where we're putting the money into right now, is comedy sketches. So look out for those. We're going to get back with the old team here, and we're going to start making sketches. Those of you remember, I was a life coach who stole from his clients in a past sketch. And I've also tried to help my friend learn how to make eggs. So those have been the sketches that we've done so far with the great BJ Quagan. And we will continue to do them. I'll do different types of impressions, different stuff, whatever's in the news. We're going to be putting out sketches hopefully regularly this summer, and it's going to be a great time. So thank you guys for subscribing to the Patreon, and also look out for those live dates. I said them on the original episode, but come check us out. And by us, I mean me. And Nick Scopoletti, the great Nick Scopoletti, will be featuring for me on these shows. But Nick's Comedy Stop, April 15th and 16th in Boston, Massachusetts, and then we're going to be following that up with Fairfield Comedy Club, a nice return home for the big guy at Fairfield Comedy Club, April 23rd. I actually did a show there this weekend to promote, and I did like a hosting set, and it's a great room for comedy. Like it's perfect because the ceilings are low and you can pack a ton of people in there, and it's a great time. It's BYOB, so you hear people like cracking their cans that they brought from home, and it's just a good environment. It's fun. So go bring your booze, bring whatever, and watch the show. It's gonna be great. We're gonna be doing a lot of new material. I have a lot of new material that's gonna be coming out. I'm gonna be doing a full 45-minute set. So I'll be doing essentially what's going to be my headlining set going forward as we continue to add stuff in. I'm probably going to have it filmed, and we'll put it out in clips. So look out, follow me at Beau McDowell Comedy. Check out those clips. I have a new clip that went up this week of me doing stand-up, and those clips are doing well. So we're going to keep putting out stand-up clips every single week from the shows that I do over the weekends. And you're going to have sketches, and you're going to have 2 podcasts a week. So it's pretty good. Pretty good. There's quite a bit of content coming your guys' way. So look out for that and enjoy. I feel very fat. Let's start there for the Patreon people. I am feeling heavy these days. I feel a little, and I'm getting heavy when I start growing out the beard. That's when you start growing out a beard. As a fat guy, once you start really going, yeah, let's just add some more girth to this beard, then let's hope that fixes the issue. You know what I mean? That's usually how I know, because there's something about shaving where it really highlights the issue. So I like to keep the beard a little bushy at this time of year when things start to get bad. However, I did just have a stomach flu about 3 weeks ago, and I was down for the count. I ate nothing but saltines and chicken soup for a week. I lost like 15 pounds, and I was like, hey man, this could be it. And I had this whole plan that I was going to start dieting from this flu, and it did not take. I was so excited. The first week after the flu, I was like, I'm doing it, man. I'm doing it. Every week I had my planned meals. I was eating a ton of like ground turkey and rice and, the stuff that these fitness influencers will tell you to do. And I was like, all right, man, we're doing this. Like, it's not a keto, but it's close enough. I'm eating clean. And, the first couple nights you start doing stand-up again, you're back to eating like garbage. Like, it's just... I love stand-up so much, and it's not the reason why I, eat so much, but it's the hours, and it's also the adrenaline, and there's just nothing better after a show than going out and hitting a diner and just eating. You know what I mean? Like, it clears the palate. It lets you know you did a good job. I reward myself with food. Like, it's how I understand that I've done a good job, that I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy if I get myself a nice sandwich at the end of the night. But, and there's this thing where like if I like withhold food from myself, then I'm basically like I'm like keeping myself from enjoying comfort, right? And then like what'll happen is like I'll build up a bank, right? So every night or every afternoon where I don't eat something bad, it's almost like I'm putting it in the bank going like, yep, you've been good. And then at the end of that period, I spend all of that money, right? So like I go 2 weeks and I'm eating good. I'm crushing it, right? And then I go, well, I got this big bank account now, so things are going good. And then like a fucking new lottery winner, I just go out and just order food and eat it and just blow through all of my balance and usually end up eating more than. So that's kind of like the binge and purge like method. And that's why people who have like, weight problems kind of stay in it, because it's an addiction, because it's like, you do that. So I know all these things and I'm working on it, and it's not getting better, but I think it's going to get better. I think it's going to go. I think this summer is my summer. I don't want to say that. I know it sounds like I'm a girl in a sorority, but I think that this summer I'm going to lose about 25 pounds. I recently thought about going in and doing boxing at a gym. So, I don't know. And as I say it, I don't think any of that's going to happen, but if I were to lose, here's what my life could be like, right? I lose 25 pounds. I get some new material. I feel better. I probably have sex a few times. And I have a nice little summer. Or I continue to eat bad. I pack on another 15 pounds. I feel sad. I write probably more material, because more material comes from feeling bad. And I get SNL. So I think I should be eating as much as possible. After this show, we're going to go to a diner, and we are going to fuck up a side of a menu, me and you, Jack. Mm-hmm. Now, Jack is a good man, but Jack likes to get a very specific diner order.
Oh, yeah.
You do not really like to test out what a diner can do. I like to give them a little run for their money here and there. You're more... hey, let's just get back to the basics.
Sure. Yeah.
Jack is, as I recall, he's an over-easy 2-egg man with wheat toast. And, we
usually white, but wheat, it doesn't matter.
Wheat lives matter, Jack.
Yeah, I don't really discriminate on the bread side of things.
So you don't mind a white?
No. Okay. No, I don't mind the white bread.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I mean, you have the white toast. And then, are you a home fries guy?
Sure, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Bacon on the side.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. It's not so much that I don't like to try the other foods. I just hate menus.
You like to know what you're getting.
I just don't I get overwhelmed by a menu. In most diners, they've got like 75-page menus.
Yes.
And
it is a bit of a booklet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't need to, spend 20 minutes and look at like souvlaki and all of this. I'm not going to order that.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I get very anxious, and during a period of time where my anxiety was at its peak, I couldn't even go into grocery stores because it had too many options. You know what I mean? So you'd walk in and you'd be like, you'd see all the things and you go, I can't make these decisions. Who do I think I am? And then you end up leaving a cart there with macaroni and cheese in it.
Yeah.
And some guy from Trader Joe's has to put that away.
Yeah. But that's more or less the experience for me too, is I just don't want to.
Do you shop for yourself?
I do. Yeah.
You like go, like if you need let's say a pot roast, you'll go down to the store.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure that I've ever made a pot roast.
Well,
but
I feel like you don't really care about yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's also true.
So here's one of the things that I decided. This was one of my ideas for my my health phase that I went through 2 weeks ago. I ordered from Costco a big thing of chili, and I was like, well, there's no gluten. I have a real problem with gluten, so I was like, listen, it's not gluten. Mm-hmm. But then I always found myself eating chili at 10 a.m. and then again at noon, and then again at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So it's essentially just eating chili all day.
Yeah.
And that led to some gastrointestinal problems.
Oh, yeah.
That were pretty devastating. Also, one of the other decisions that I made in these past few weeks is I wanted to get really into apricots. So I bought a big bag of apricots, and I did not understand that there was a serving size that was recommended for apricots, and that if you went over it by a few, that you might die. So I wasn't aware of this. So I bought a big bag of apricots, and I ate about 35 apricots throughout a day. And then I went to go do a show, and I got to the show, and I used the bathroom about 4 times.
Yeah.
And it was very intense. I still did well at the show. I'm a professional. I was having a really hard time.
Yeah. So
food is an issue.
Yeah, I think the chili and apricot diet is something I've never. It sounds like maybe painting your bathroom walls has now been a part of your health journey as well.
I thought that, honestly, that's my best guess at what a healthy diet looks like. And that's kind of my issue here, Jack.
Yeah.
Is that when I decide that I'm going to get better, I don't have the information at hand to be able to make a good decision. So I end up getting things that might kill me, and then I eat them at a very rapid pace.
I find it no coincidence that the one external source of information you've cited today about this is Instagram influencers.
I like the cut of their jib. I like a man who does every video shirtless.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, I really enjoy men's bodies far more at this point than I enjoy a woman's body.
Okay.
I don't know that you have this experience, but in the past few years, as I have grown older, it's not that I don't like women, but when you see a woman out in public, it's a nuisance when you see a really attractive woman out in public, because I don't know what to do, and I know it's not going to go well, and so I see them and I go, why are you doing this to me? Which is not the right response, because they've done nothing wrong.
Right.
But I internalize their beauty as a way of making myself feel less than. And then I go on my Instagram and I see like an attractive fit guy, and I feel better.
Now what about when you see an attractive fit guy in the world
Oh, that's great. So I really enjoy. I have a trainer, and he is a hunk of clay that has been molded by a god. And
I mean, aren't we all though?
well, my God is not doing me very many favors these days, Jack. Mine is the god of the onion ring, and it's not going well. So, but this guy, I mean, he has this ass that is, it's you can really see like the muscle definition in his ass, and his back. You can see all of the individual muscles in it, and when he takes off his shirt, you can see like this riverbed of muscles that go down and point to his penis, and it's fantastic. It's really like when I see him out, at the gym when he's training me, or if I invite him to a dinner, then I get excited to see him. Like I'm a bit of a schoolgirl in this sense. When I see him, I get very giddy. Whereas like the other women that work out at the place where I work out at, I don't really like to leer at the women, because I know that they're going to notice me looking, and I don't want that on my conscience, that I'm the guy at the gym who's constantly staring at you. And then also it's distracting and also frustrating. So I try to. Does that make sense? Am I wrong for thinking that?
Well, I don't know if right or wrong have a play. Have you thought about wearing sunglasses at the gym?
I have.
You have worn them.
Yes. It didn't work. I used to wear ski goggles to the gym.
Oh, yeah.
In an attempt to make myself less conspicuous.
I'm going to guess the fog was an issue.
Yeah. I was constantly fogging up those glasses.
Yeah.
And they're like, who is the special needs kid wearing... and I used to wear big headphones.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a bit of an Asperger vibe at the gym. And it's already not a good look. I now work out strictly in sweatshirts. And now that it's getting warmer, I'm a little bit more cognizant of that, and I don't want it to get warmer, because then I know I'm not going to have a good excuse for the sweatshirt. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's 90 degrees outside, I can't walk out in a sweatshirt and face the world, with the same gusto that I currently am. Because people are going to be like, why are you wearing that sweatshirt? Also, this is a lot made up in my head. But, like when I get to the gym, I wear my sweatshirt, and that covers the problem areas that I don't want seen by the public. And it makes me feel a little bit safer, But, soon I will have to start leaving the house in a T-shirt. And that is a fact that I'm grappling with, as any fat guy does.
Have you thought about wearing sort of a 90s or early aughts sort of hip hop look, where everything is just several sizes larger?
So I would like to start wearing jerseys more.
Yeah.
I also think the white tee should be coming back.
Exactly the lane that I'm thinking of.
I think black guys in the 90s had it made in terms of well, I mean, there were
debatable.
There were definitely some issues.
Rudolph Giuliani may come up in any discussion of that matter, but go ahead. Yeah,
right, sure.
In terms of fashion.
In terms of fashion.
Okay, all right.
They had it made.
Yeah, sure.
Like when I see like an old Patrice video and he has like the big jersey on and the jeans that are like, 5 sizes too big, I'm like, damn, he looks good. I mean, yeah, he does look enormous. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
He looks like a very big man. Yeah. But that's not a guy where you go, oh, fatty, But here's the thing. I've noticed in like videos when I go up on stage and I wear like really like baggy clothes, it looks like I'm a house. Like, it looks like do you know what I mean? I look massive.
Right.
And part of that's good because you're domineering and I really own the mic and all that stuff. And I like to be a presence on stage. But then there's the other part where you're like, man. But then there's the other part. You try to wear a more form-fitting attire and you look like a kid going to class. You know, because when I was a little kid going to class and I was a fat kid, I tried to wear I remember Aeropostale came out when I was in middle school. So I went to Aeropostale, and and there were a bunch of kids my age who were wearing that stuff, the preppy whatever, and the Aeropostale does not make clothes that would fit a chubby kid like me. So I would buy them because I had hope at this point in my life. So I would purchase, a few of the shirts and the jeans, and I would wrestle with those jeans in the morning, and I'd get them on, and then I'd put on the shirt, and I looked like I was falling out of it the entire day, and that was not. It was bad. People would point and say things.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would also be eating mushrooms and things like this while wearing form-fitting clothes.
Yeah, which was not
right. It
was tough. By the time I got to high school, though, and I really started to engage in my drug use, in terms of fashion, I went for the tie-dye shirts and I would wear moccasins to school, because I wanted to give off the illusion that I would never be paid for work.
Sure.
And this was a kind of it was like a fun character. There's one great thing about high school and about that period of time for any man or any woman is that you can basically create any personality you want to create, right? And it's kind of cool, right? You can just kind of, give it a shot. Whatever you want to do. If you're a white kid and you want to be black, this is your time. You can give that a shot. If you're a white kid and you want to be Eminem, there were a lot of kids that would dye their hair blonde. Yeah. And they'd have a fun time. And for me, I wanted to emit the look that I was, a cool guy to hang out with, and I smoked a lot of pot. So I would wear the tie-dye shirts, and I loved a good corduroy. I love corduroys. Yeah. And it was nice. It was nice. I would like to maybe go back to that look at some point. Do you think that I should return to tie-dye shirts, corduroy pants, and moccasins?
I would much prefer the double XL white T-shirt, throwback jersey, just because that's sort of a direction I went in for a few years.
Yeah.
And just preposterous, but I had some great jerseys though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have some good jerseys. I would love to get who's the guy who's lights out? Sean Taylor? Sean Merriman?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, lights out Sean Merriman, who was amazing. He had a light switch that he tattooed on his arm because when he would knock people out on the field, he would flip the light switch.
Oh, wow.
And letting people know that he had just...
This guy was a football player?
He was a footballer.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so... I think I should definitely look at going 90s rap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of fun. I already wear Jordans.
Okay.
Ooh. I know, a big deal. Yeah. But at the same time, I wear Jordans for the reason most white guys would wear Jordans, and it's because you do get a compliment here and there from a black guy. And there's nothing more exhilarating as a white man than a compliment from a young black teenager on your shoes. It really feels good. I had it happen. I was in Savannah, Georgia 6 months ago, and I came out of an Uber and I planted my pre-grape Jordan 5s on the asphalt, and a group of black teens jumped for joy. They were like, "Oh, look at them snooze," or whatever they said. That was...
Did they all say that in unison?
Yeah, they're like,
sort of like a chorus.
Son.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, man, that's just, it's just what I do. You know? I'm just here wearing my Jordans, you know?
I think you should adopt that affectation you just used.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, total wardrobe change. I feel like you should try the high school personality experiment.
Yeah.
But now as you enter your 30s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you see that happen a lot.
It's true.
Like that's not a new concept. And what I really love is not the 30-year-old that does it, but I love the guy getting close to 50.
Sure.
That does that, where he starts to wear like skate gear, or they start to kind of dress like a teen. That is always amazing to me. And for the most part, comedians never really, like, they're in a state of arrested development. Like, that's why you see, comics that are like pushing 50 that have 3 kids that leave the house looking like, Machine Gun Kelly. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah. What's happening here? But it's basically because they just want to always feel relevant and feel cool. Because that's the whole reason why they're getting up on stage and doing all that stuff, is because they didn't feel cool. And I don't want that to be. I would, by the time I'm 50, I would hope that I dress like I'm 50. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying like over the top. I'm just saying like a polo and a pair of jeans and a pair of reasonable sneakers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like that describes a lot of outfits I've seen you in already, though.
Yeah. That's true.
Maybe a hat also. Maybe, I don't know, 50-year-olds wear hats?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, should I stop wearing hats? Because I do like wearing hats, and I'll consistently wear hats. And there's something nice about wearing a hat on stage, because it kind of feels like, oh, he's just dropping in. He didn't know he was doing a set tonight.
Yeah, he just
popped on.
It was,
He was in the area.
It was either this or playing third base.
Yeah.
But,
Right. Also, if I went the 90s hip-hop route with my clothes from now on, I could bring a towel on stage and drape it over my shoulder.
Yep.
Which would be really cool and exciting. And also, as I gain weight and, the sweating becomes an issue, I now have a relative solution to that. So that would be good. And then I can also like sit during most of my set, and when I get a good joke off, I can take the mic and I can hit it on my knee. I've heard that that's done well.
Sure. Yeah.
And when I really like one of my jokes, I can stand up and do a quick jog around my stool.
That's true. And if one of your jokes doesn't go over as well, maybe Will Smith could wander on stage and just give you an open-handed slap.
I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah.
Honestly, the views I would get from an open-handed slap from Will Smith would be well worth the possible pain.
I'm not sure that it's going to move the needle on Chris Rock's career or standing, but I feel like if Legend of Bagger Vance star Will Smith just slapped you at a Nick's comedy stop, that would probably
it would be the greatest thing that ever happened.
That would strap the rocket to your back.
It would. And that's what's funny about that is for Chris Rock, that was an embarrassing moment. For me, that would be the greatest moment of my life. Do you know what I mean? That would be like...
Henceforth, people would be like, hey, you remember that guy that the star of Legend of Bagger Vance slapped in the face? Will Smith slapped in the face. You remember that guy?
Legend slapped me in the face.
And people would be like, wait, now, are you talking about Chris Rock? Or are you talking about Beau McDowell?
Right. And that starts a conversation, right? That really gets things going. I don't know that this is going to... So I think that Chris Rock is going to sell a lot of tickets on his next tour. But I don't think that he wasn't going to sell a lot of tickets on his next tour. So that's what people are... Because people are like, well, this is kind of like it's a... That's why people are like, oh, this is fake. Because now everything's a conspiracy now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I get. Like, there's... We've kind of entered into that world, right? Where everything is a conspiracy. And for good reason. There have been a lot of them, that have been proven pretty close to true.
Sure.
So, the fact that, like, the idea that Chris Rock was in cahoots with Will Smith to get hit in the face to sell more tickets is not really one that I would bet on as far as a conspiracy. But I also don't know what his career's looking like these days. But to me, I feel like Chris Rock, pretty much wherever he goes, he's going to sell the tickets.
Sure.
Right? I mean, nobody's really, because that kind of old, like that level of fame that Chris Rock is enjoying or has enjoyed for the past 20 to 30 years doesn't really exist now for like a younger comic. Like younger comics are blowing up, like Tim Dillon and Shane Gillis, and you know, the kind of the folks, the new up and comers are doing very well, but they don't have the platforms that Chris Rock had. I mean, you know, when you talk about SNL and the movies and the movie deals, if you're a good comic now today, you're probably not going to get those movie deals the way that you did 20 years ago, or you're not going to have a CBS sitcom that anyone sees because that medium is dead, right? So like fame used to be like this vacuum, right? Where it would just be like, you got these 10 guys and boom, there it is, right? You know, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, David Spade, like it was very like controlled. And now like fame has become this flattened thing, right? Where it's like you can like there are YouTubers that have more fans and more of a, you know, following than SNL, but they don't have the fame aspect because it's not pressed down the throats of the average American, right? It's not marketed by, you know, Huggies, right. You know what I mean? So it's not as readily available or like feels like it's a part of the, you know, the culture, you know what I mean? Whereas like at that time, when all those comics were kind of blowing up in the 90s and early 2000s, it was very much a part of the culture. You know, Friends and Seinfeld were a huge part of American culture, but I can't think of a show today that's on TV, that's on CBS or Fox, that carries that kind of weight. Do you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen anymore. Like that, those days of fame are kind of dead. And that's what's interesting about the Oscars is like, it's a lot of people who are from that time that are, their stars are kind of dwindling. At the same time, he's going to sell all those tickets, right? But he doesn't have control or the level of fame that he had for 20 years. Does that sound right? Am I onto something there?
I think I think part of that is, a lot of that is fair. I think people now are, I mean, the avenues to fame used to be a lot more limited, and a lot more controlled,
right?
In very real ways, like, you know, some teenage kid right now can get famous very quickly. If things, you know, if
a few things go right.
If a few things go right, and you know, the sort of, you know, with social media and different platforms and things, if they have sort of, like, you don't need to own a studio or a television network in order to distribute something to millions of people.
Right.
It's just about the millions of people actually clicking on the thing. But if you put, you know, far less money into tools to make people want to click on that, your kid can be famous, right? Or your shit can be famous. Where back then, that just didn't exist.
Right.
But I also think, like, to your point about the YouTubers, now it seems like a greater amount of people are famous, but it's atomized in a way that 10 million people could know who you are.
Yes.
But you could walk out of this building and not a single fucking person would recognize you.
Yes.
You know?
Which is better. That's a better form of fame. Or it's at least a more mental health conscious form of fame.
Right.
Which is not what they designed. I mean, you know, no one designed social media and YouTube in the sense of like, oh, we're going to help people's mental health. You know what I mean? But it actually had that effect for people that got famous. At the same time, those people negatively experience a lot of hate online, right? So if you're like, even if you're like a middle level comic, right? Like, and you have, say, 50 to 100,000 followers on Instagram or whatever, Twitter, like daily you're going to be getting people who hate you or are making fun of the way you look or the whatever constantly in your DMs. Like that's consistent, right? You know, I mean, I know like Lisa receives that type of like criticism constantly, and it's tough to deal with, especially for people that you know, grew up or got famous in a time where there wasn't that level of access, you know? So like access causes the mental health crisis within famous people now, much less than the outside TMZ experience.
For sure. I also think if you distinguish between money and fame, because I think there's a certain amount of insulation you can have from all of that, even in social media age. If you just have enough money,
right?
If your Twitter, if you've never even touched your Twitter, right, you're just a person who employs 4 people to write and tweet and do all of that. You're never going to see those DMs, you know. And a lot of people, you know, there are a lot of companies and things. Where they just have, okay, you know, here's our agency and this will be a representation and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Here's the person who's going to tweet things out for you.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I think the difference is between those people at the Oscar, like Will Smith, the most, you know, big, huge, famous YouTubers or people in the social media age, or there's a lot of people who are very famous. Somebody like Will Smith, who's been famous, again,
since he was 16.
Part of it is it's not so much the difference between fame then and now. It's that this guy's still famous, and he was that famous. For 30 years, that guy could walk down the street in pretty much any country, and people would recognize him.
Right.
You know? And Chris Rock's pretty much been there, too.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, they're also... The Oscars, a lot of those people... have so much money that they don't really, you know, they live in a very different world than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Even a lot of people who have a couple million followers or whatever.
Right. Yes. Well, it's a different level.
Yeah.
Right. This actually made the Academy Awards tolerable. Do you know what I mean? Because the Academy Awards, for the most part, is a pretty intolerable experience for the average person, right? Whether or not they like movies or don't like movies doesn't really account for the fact that when they turn it on, they're going to be bombarded with political statements about, you know, we need to save the cows, or we need to, you know, we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's all from Hollywood elites who are pretty out of touch with what the average, you know, guy wants. You know what I mean? Like, obviously these are not, you know, political you know, people. They don't really know how to have those conversations, so it comes out in like a really like holier than thou way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it depends on the person. Do you know what I mean? I've heard ones that are not that bad, but then I've also heard ones that I'm like, all right, man, I just don't care, you know, like. Yeah. From you, it means nothing.
I don't think that's unique to Hollywood or the Academy Awards, though.
Right.
I mean, everything you just said probably describes your Facebook feed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, it also describes like family members.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Is pretty much the same when it comes to people bringing up politics or people bringing up whatever. I think it's easier for people to be dismissive or critical of
because
whoever,
they have money.
You know, Chris Rock's political views than it is mom.
Right.
You know, or someone you hooked up with once and then now is just a person on Facebook from 10 years ago.
Right.
You know.
Well, so my father is a hardcore conservative. And I have, you know, I've talked about that on the show. I talked about that in my act, and you know, I'll bring that up like in the act, and we'll talk about it, and I do like jokes and stuff about him and his views, or just like, you know, little stuff like little quips or whatever. And it's interesting his like experience with that, because he's come to shows and been uncomfortable leaving the show because he thinks that liberals are going to attack him on his way to his car, because it was pointed out that he is conservative during my act. And as many times as I've like explained to him, like, that's not, one, that won't happen.
Yeah, that's
two,
delusional.
like, that's not the purpose of these jokes, right? And you know, three, like, really nobody cares, right? Like, as much as I've explained that to him, like, there is this like feeling of like, you know, if it's put out there to a group of people, I could experience like serious blowback from it. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like at the Academy Awards, it's not, there's no necessary, like they seem to say it with no concern for that. Now, obviously the concern there is, that's like QAnon type shit where it's like, they're coming to get me. But that's the experience that, like, you know, some conservatives that I know are having, which is like insane. And it's misguided and it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Again, I don't think any of that is unique to conservatives.
Right.
I think, you know, like, it reminds me of a few years ago when people online who would sort of invade the comments section for whatever, name a Democrat or a Republican.
Yeah.
In support of Bernie Sanders, and they started calling these people Bernie Bros, and they say, oh, there's this toxic behavior from the Bernie Bros, as though that didn't exist in support of every other candidate since the comments section existed.
Right.
Like, there's toxic behavior in support of Bush, Obama, Clinton, you name it. Everybody has that. And I think there's the same behavior for Packers fans, or you know what I mean, or Chris Rock fans, or Team Will Smith, or whatever. And I think that this kind of well, whether it's conservatives or whether it's my candidate or whoever, like this sort of grabbing hold of victimhood and being like, I'm being targeted online, as though toxic nonsense isn't just part and parcel of the internet.
Right.
Like, this is not unique to anybody. This is something that is, it's not a phenomenon of a specific political belief or social outlook. It's a phenomenon of the comment section and people going online and people saying what they want to say there. And that's existed as long as I can remember. The internet has existed. It's just, in 1998, message boards or chat rooms were not populated by literally like billions of people at this point, you know, like now literally everybody. Now literally everybody's in the comments.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, those chat rooms back in the day, like when like AIM was a thing and stuff like that, like they were populated by, you know, serial killers and child molesters. And it was very interesting because you would like all of a sudden be, and a lot of it was very sexual, I found. Or maybe that's just what I was looking for.
Which chat rooms were you in? Was this?
I would go into like, I honestly couldn't remember. But I used to go into like random chat rooms and even like MySpace and stuff like that. Like, and maybe I was just a kid that was looking for sexual behavior online, because what else are you really looking for online as a 13-year-old? But like I would like get in those chat rooms and it would be people being like, "Oh, pull your dick out" and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like really like off. Like you'd be like, "Oh my god, what?" And you like turn it off. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's weird. You know what I mean? And like. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of, it's evolved into like, you know, you can have a conversation about anything in that space. But it was, I think the internet was originally kind of for sexual deviance.
Kind of. I mean, not really. I feel like it's the same thing. Like they found, that kind of behavior, those kind of predatory behavior finds places, not because of that space existing or serving it. It's because people see something new and they're like, how can I exploit this to, take advantage of kids or take it or, oh, well, what can I do? Whether it's, I want to go on whatever platform, whether it's some internet, the internet in the 90s or Twitter in the 2010s or whatever shit's coming out now, TikTok. Right. There's people who are going to be, how can I troll this? How can I just make people upset? Yeah. Because that's a form of people trying to get a reaction. Right. I
mean, my screen name was Lil Cum Guzzler 42.
Yeah, I feel like you've nailed it. I feel like searching for
do you think that had anything
sexual
to do with
deviance?
It, or?
Yeah, I think if you weren't searching for sexual deviance,
I was kind of putting it out there.
You created a pretty good blueprint for finding them.
Yeah. So this is my fault?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much good. The whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I really wanted to get famous right now, and let's say I was, working the Chuckle Hut this weekend, and I said, what should I do? Should I pay a guy that's at the show to hurt me during my set?
Yeah.
Or maybe pay a guy to take his dick out and just start vigorously masturbating in front of me. Because that would go viral.
I mean, I thought you already said Nick Scopoletti was going to be on the show. Boom.
Nick, you just got hit.
Take that, Scopoletti. I love you, Nick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, it's interesting now because honestly, we could create a series of public stunts that would lead to a bit of a fan base here. I think that there is an avenue that we're not thinking, because for the most part, stand up. I mean, everybody's doing stand up. Everybody's doing stand up. Everybody has a podcast. But how do you stick out in the world today? Do you know what I mean? I think you need to have public displays of nudity coupled with deviant behavior or violence. And you need to film that and then put it on YouTube. And if you can consistently put out a good content strategy, I think you will find that there is a market for those things.
I think what you're looking to do here, Beau, is become a professional wrestler. I think that's what you're describing.
I'm glad we got there. I think
maybe all elite wrestling or something like that might be.
Well, there really was no greater comedy than wrestling in its earliest form.
I'm a big time wrestling fan.
Yes, there's really and there's a lot of comics that are kind of naturally huge wrestling fans because of that.
Sure.
Because and Bill Burr said it best. He was I don't know if he said it best, but he said it that who was the guy who would say woo?
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. He was Ric Flair had a better his act was better than anybody's hour-long comedy special. Literally his 5-minute act before he would go and wrestle or after he would wrestle was better than anything put out by any comic in that decade. And I would suggest that that's probably true.
I don't know if I agree with that statement, but what he's saying I totally agree with is about wrestling is that like Ric Flair or when I think about the Rock 20 years ago or 15 years ago.
That guy's not going to live long. And no, here's the thing though. Whenever I see The Rock,
is that a threat? Or
no. You? No, but when I go on Instagram and I see how jacked that guy is for how old he is,
yeah,
and how much testosterone or whatever he's pumping in, steroids, or whatever, and the amount he has to exercise to continue that look. There's no way you can live that long doing that. Is that right? I mean, I've made it clear in the beginning of this show that I am not a health professional.
Well,
but it seems as though somebody that would be a clear way to death.
Well, I think Vince McMahon is about 75 years old. So he may be living proof that you're wrong there.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But whenever I see a guy like that that's like that jacked and that age,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's like they've skipped some part of the aging process that's gonna catch up with them. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's gonna
for sure. Well, and a lot of the pro wrestlers that I grew up watching are no longer with us.
Yeah.
And went relatively early, but there's a specific period, and not just pro wrestling, but really in television, where everything was kind of a commercial for cocaine and steroids.
Yeah.
Like everything. If you watch The Ultimate Warrior, at any moment, any 30 seconds, it's pretty much like a 30-second ad for those two products, like anabolic steroids.
I never had even the slightest interest in steroids. When I was in high school, my football coach walked into our locker room and he gave us a big conversation about steroids. He was like, it ruined a lot of my friends' lives in the 80s. And he's like explaining how steroids is terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I was really hoping you were going to say he tried to get you all to sat everybody down.
Like, listen, we got to win some
I
games.
was like, guys, this is the big time, all right?
Wilton High School,
Wilton, Connecticut,
needs a championship. This town is begging for a hero, and you boys better get out there and perform. Okay? No, I never. It was never even like a thought that crossed my mind that like I could stick a needle in myself or like take a pill and like work out and then like grow muscles. I was just like, dude, I'm not interested in that. And no one that I like went to high school with was interested in that either. However, I did have a cousin who went to Cancun and he purchased a large amount of steroids and he was arrested trying to get them across the border.
Yeah.
But that is just having an Italian cousin. That's not particularly new.
Yeah, the old drug smuggling catches up to people pretty quick sometimes.
I remember it was in the paper that like he got caught with, and of course their football team had won 3 straight state championships.
So it's worth it. Is what you're telling me. Yeah.
Honestly, the kid's living a good life now. So you know what I mean. He definitely had some anger issues back then, but he addressed them to a jury of his peers.
You know what's interesting about this?
Yeah.
Is we think about like now how we understand like how bad steroids are.
Yeah.
How bad, there's this sort of public understanding of how dangerous and unhealthy all those drugs are.
Yeah.
And yet for decades after that conversation, playing football is presented to young people as a healthy thing to do.
Right.
Which it's clearly not. And it doesn't matter how much they change the rules. It's just like, guys, eventually,
Yeah.
And like, it was like, what, 3 or 4 years ago, they were like, hey, concussions, actually, it was all of a sudden they were like, we just found out brain damage is not good for you. It was just like,
yeah, Will Smith had to make a whole movie.
Yeah, Will Smith made a whole movie about it.
And that's why it was so messed up.
Yeah.
That he went out there and smacked that guy.
Right. It's well, you can blame it on the CTE though, right? I mean,
that's true. That's true.
I don't even remember the movie.
I think it was called Concussion.
They made a whole movie.
I think it was called Concussion.
Concussion.
Yeah.
And nobody remembers that. People were just like, yeah, whatever. You watching the game or what?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that the NFL is just far too entertaining to ignore. And I've had this argument with people about like whether or not I'd let my kids play football or whatever. And for the most part, I would like my kids to damage their brains.
Sure.
For the sake of, clout, possible pussy. And I want them to be revered in their high school as a cool guy. Far more then I would want them to be able to count to 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can count to 10.
Yeah, but not everybody can fucking chill hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't know. But, I mean, you played football, which was a bad move.
Not a good idea. Yeah, at all.
Yeah.
I did not belong out there.
It was a bad move.
Yeah, I was far better after my my junior year. In my junior year,
Yes.
after my career was cut short, I think I tore my
after the
rotator
scandal?
cuff. Yeah, yeah. After I got busted for taking anabolic steroids.
Well, you took a knee.
Yeah.
You were.
Yes, exactly. After I
You Kaepernicked your way through high school.
I protested police violence, which actually I also did in high school, but that's a story for another day, I suppose. Yeah. After that, I was much more comfortable. They put me up in the booth where I was announcing the football
See, that's
games.
your vibe.
That was perfect
is
because
your
I could
vibe.
sit up there above everybody else,
Yes.
and I could smoke a little weed.
Yeah.
And then I could just make fun of my friends on the field. And,
Yeah.
like, the people in the crowd were kind of into that.
Yeah.
And I would, like, mispronounce the other team's names
Yeah.
on purpose and do
Yeah.
stuff like that. It was fun,
Yeah.
you know. But I did not belong playing football at all.
No.
I got a few concussions.
Sure.
I remember I went to the emergency room. I got a concussion. And I went to the emergency room and waited, like, 6 hours to get in to see somebody. And they were like, you have post-concussion syndrome. It's like, so when I showed up here,
Yes.
they're like, yeah, that was when you had the concussion.
You were with me, actually, when I got my last concussion.
I was.
Yeah. We were at Outback Steakhouse.
Oh.
And I was watching the Celtics
In that
get
last
beat.
bit of bloomin' onion, some other guy was trying to get it from you.
Yeah. I made a move.
You headbutted him.
No, I was upset about the way the Celtics score was going. This is probably by far the trashiest way to get a
This is, yeah.
a head injury.
Yeah.
But I was upset about how the Celtics were playing, and I decided to go have a cigarette outside, and I did not realize that the plate glass door of this Outback Steakhouse existed, and I walked straight into it head first because, as I said, I was very upset. And I was then rushed to the hospital.
I was there for this?
Yeah, I believe you were there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you were doing Quaaludes in the bathroom.
It's crazy that you got a concussion that night, but I don't remember this happening. I have no recollection
You don't
of this at
remember
all.
that?
Yeah.
We
no.
were the group of people.
I'm sure, yeah. As I mean, you don't just show up to Outback alone.
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outback Steakhouse is a fantastic restaurant, and I feel like a lot of people try to downgrade the excellence that is the Outback Steakhouse, but it's fantastic because you can go there and you can eat about 5,000 calories in a sitting, and at no point do you say to yourself, this is actually Australia.
No, yeah. I feel like they abandoned the Australia thing. Like, it's called Outback, but, like, is there anything there that they're trying to push
I think
as
Jim
Australian?
Jeffries should be serving food.
Sure, yeah.
At Outback Steakhouse, and that would make me go back.
Yeah.
Honestly, to the Outback. But the kookaburra wings are a fantastic dish.
Oh, yeah, they call the shit. They have Australian names for
well,
shit.
of course they do, Jack.
Yeah.
Because they're an institution.
Sure.
I am also partial to the Applebee's. I've been excused from multiple Applebee's in my time. I had an Applebee's that I lived near in Willimantic, Connecticut, where you go to die.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Applebee's in Willimantic sounds like a family establishment.
Yes. There was the bathroom was full.
Yeah.
And I got there, and I used to go into this Applebee's, and I would order 3 Long Island iced teas off the bat, and that would upset everybody in the restaurant. So they would make the first one. They go, we can't give you 3 because this is a this is a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and we will not do that. And I would put in a big dip of a chaw, and then I would chug the first of the Long Island iced teas, and then I would demand the second within 30 seconds. And at that point, they would ask me to leave.
Yeah.
But it was nice. It was a nice experience. I never really got into the food there. I was never really a huge fan of their food, but I had a good time.
Right.
Applebee's is also a good place to meet divorced women. Generally, women who have been tossed aside or find themselves in an Applebee's,
Right.
and they're having a tough time. But that is not unlike the rest of the people in that Applebee's, so they feel at home.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why they're going there, is to feel a little normal. And for somebody who goes there consistently, or used to go there consistently, and give the bartenders a run for their money, I would sometimes meet a nice divorced 50-year-old who would offer me pleasure.
Okay. I like that divorce is being called tossed aside, but being banned from Applebee's is being called excused. You were excused from Applebee's.
Listen,
I feel like that.
I will rewrite history. However, I choose to rewrite history. This is the Patreon.
Right.
Okay?
All right.
So the folks who are listening to this understand what they're getting into when they've paid $5 to hear a man discuss his future fashion sense.
That's right.
Okay?
And
I don't
all
wanna
kinds
hear.
of dietary advice.
Yes.
You need to, send me. I want to follow the influencer, the apricots and chili diet influencer.
It's a real niche. He's really cornered the market there on folks who are into that.
Yeah. Is that Doug Stanhope? Who is
just Doug eating plates of chili
and screaming?
Oh God. Yes. Also, I think that dive bars, if they were run by comedians who didn't make it,
Mm-hmm.
could be a nice time.
Sure.
But I don't think that comedy would be allowed,
Probably not. Yeah.
because it would remind them of their failures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would also expose them to my failures.
That's right. Well, you have found yourself frequenting open mics here and there.
Yeah, here and there. Not as much. COVID sort of knocked things down a peg or two in terms of
Stopped the old career.
It did. It cut the stand-up career short, and I'm on the fence about getting back. I like telling the jokes.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, that's good. Well, we'll find out more next week
Indeed.
on the Beau Knows podcast. Please subscribe and continue to listen to whatever this has been.
Mm-hmm.
And if we decide to put out the Patreon episode as the real episode, there's just nothing you can do to stop us.
That's right.
So whether or not this is the real episode that comes out or this is the Patreon episode that comes out, it's really none of your fucking business.
Yeah.
So don't get mouthy out there, okay? And please buy tickets to the shows, and pray to whoever you need to pray to for this next week, because we're off to the races.
Yeah.
And we just won't be stopped.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is Beau Knows Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been just fine.